All right, so we are now on to part 2 of sauteed veg, and this is technically not a sauteed veg. This is actually a pan frying of potatoes that we have. Something that's better than fried chicken, you might say, or fried catfish is anything that we can fry as a vegetable. This is a cool way to use your leftover potatoes as well. If you're ever making baked potatoes the night previous, say with a steak, or you just boiled some potatoes for mashed potatoes and you didn't use them all. So what we're going to be using now is a little bit of rosemary. We have some garlic. In the cloves whole, we're not actually going to do anything but besides smash those down using our knife. Regular oil, and then a little bit of salt, and then also pepper. So the first things that we need to do though is we need to look at our oil. And whenever you pour oil into your pan, it needs to be about 1/2 inch to 1 inch in depth. And so if we're looking at that, I'm not going to put my finger in there just because it's very, very hot. But what we're looking for again is that 1/2 inch, because whenever we put a potato down, for this instance, all we're going to be doing is frying just the bottom, flipping it over, and just the top, then the bottom. And the residual heat's actually going to go to the center of the potato, so it's going to be very soft but then crunchy on the outside. So some things that we need to do to prep. First and foremost, always put your oil on. I don't like to go over anything over a medium-high heat whenever I work with oil, especially on the stove top, because it can get too hot. And then also with that, it can start to smoke. So now I got my oil on, we're letting that heat up, have my rosemary, and then with the garlic, what we're gonna be doing, we're just gonna grab the garlic, put our knife right on, use the palm of our hand here, and just gently tap one time. Smashed, good to go. Do the next one. Smash, and then good to go. What we're going to be doing with the garlic and then also the rosemary, when the oil heats up, we're going to add both of these combinations to the oil to infuse the flavor of the oil. And then we're going to pull them out because then they'll actually burn after about 2 minutes, and then we'll push our potatoes into the oil. So the one thing that you need to do with the potatoes, you can actually let your children help you cook, of course, pull the knife away from the cutting board. But these have actually been parboiled potatoes again. We're just going to use our palm now, press down ever so slightly, and you want to retain, as you can tell here, I smashed a little bit too much, but you want to retain the skin as much as possible. So just press down ever so slightly. Oh yeah, it's going to be good. And they will fry very, very good. So these are called smashed potatoes. It's a different way of using your leftovers, and my grandmother showed me this recipe a very, very long time ago. And we had it actually with steak one night. It was very, very good. And then my mom made it with hamburgers. All right, so now I know that the oil is hot, and because what I'm looking for, you can see it looks like little waves going through the oil. So look in just ever so slightly, and if you see, it has little waves going through it. So that's how I know that the oil is hot. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna infuse the oil because we want to flavor the oil. So we're gonna put some garlic in, and this is the smashed garlic, and it already smells very, very wonderful. And then also some rosemary. This is a great combination for potatoes, is the garlic and then also the rosemary. And so we're gonna fry this technically for about 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes. You're gonna be taking out the garlic first because it's gonna be going to a golden brown, and it's gonna take about a minute. The rosemary should take about 2 minutes. And then once we pull everything out, the oil now is flavored with the garlic and the rosemary. So whenever we pan fry the potatoes on the bottom and then also the top, it'll taste a little bit of that garlic and rosemary. And then on the center, we're gonna add a little bit of salt to finish it off. It's gonna be very, very delicious. So we've taken the garlic out first because it's gonna cook a little bit quicker. And now you can see how the rosemary has now discolored into almost like the black color. So we're gonna take the rosemary out as well. You can leave a little bit of the rosemary in there as well. So. But now our oil is hot, we've infused our oil, so now let's add in our potatoes. So we're gonna add one right in the center. Whenever you add anything to a frying pan, whether you're pan frying or you're deep frying, always add one first. Say if it's too hot or too cold, then you know. But if we have everything together, then guess what? and it's not ready to go, then we have to pull everything right back out. So for each side, seeing that the potatoes are already cooked, we're just looking for a golden brown color. And so you never overload a pan as well, so I'm just gonna slightly add a few at a time. And allow enough space around to let the oil cook all the way around. So now, this is the color that we're looking for. It's very hard on the outside. And whenever you're flipping over anything that you're pan frying, you always flip away from you. If you flip towards you, what will happen is that oil will splatter on you, or it'll splatter on somebody right beside you, and it burns. It's happened to me too many times, and it stinks. That one broke open. It'll be okay, I'll eat that one. And so what we've done, we've cooked the first side for 4 minutes. And so you're looking for that golden brown. We're gonna continue to cook for another 4 minutes, and then you'll put it into your serving tray. We're gonna put the rosemary and garlic on the bottom. And so whenever the hot potato sits on the rosemary and the garlic, the oil will drip down, infuse a little bit of aroma before you serve it. So then the guest or your family members or your friends get that good whiff of rosemary and garlic before they actually eat the potatoes. So now you can see that our potatoes are now done. We've picked up the other side. It's very, very brown. So with our leftover rosemary and then also garlic, we're gonna put it on the bottom of the plate, because whenever we get the hot potatoes out, some of the oil is gonna go down to the bottom, and it's gonna infuse and be very, very cool perfume-wise. And then also gives a great aesthetic look just to the bottom. Also add a little bit of salt just to the top. And for myself, whenever I fry foods, of course you're supposed to add salt. It helps cut the fattiness of the oil. But for myself, I love a little bit of black pepper. So I'm just gonna grind a little bit of fresh ground black pepper on top. And there you have some smashed potatoes pan fried for yourself. Good way to use leftover potatoes. A little salty, a little bit of garlic, and then also rosemary. So bon appetit.